Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Multipurpose with Lakshit. So today I have Mr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, and a wonderful man. You would have watched him a lot of videos of him on Beer Biceps. I have seen you a lot of times over there. So yeah, coming to your introduction. So Mr. Radhakrishnan Pillai is the writer of 15 books on the topic of Chanakya Niti. So on Chanakya and different aspects. So yeah, thank you very much for being here. It's my pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lakshit. It's an honor to be part of your interview. You've been very inspiring also. Thank you so much for calling me.
So yeah, first question to you, which comes to my mind to ask you is what you do, what really is your profession, and why did you choose it?
Okay, so primarily, Lakshit, I do three things. The first one is basically I'm an author, so I think the world knows me because of my books. So many of you must have seen this book of mine, which is called Corporate Chanakya. And of course, I've written many books from Corporate Chanakya to Chanakya Niti. Okay, so there are 70 books. So this is my last book. But what is very interesting is that I have written books for even students. Okay, so this is one of my books called Chanakya in the Classroom.
Okay.
This is a book I definitely recommend all the students to learn. And I also written a children's book. It is called Chatur Chanakya. Of course, this one is a Kannada version. Okay. But Chatur Chanakya is books for kids who go to school, So right from first standard to 10th standard. So when you saw these books of mine, you will realize that, they are very popular, and by the grace of the God, they also call me India's #1 business author. So that is what the world calls me. Okay. So the first role that I play is an author. The second role that I play is like a businessman. So, I have a couple of businesses that I run. So 20 years ago, I've started my own company. And since then, I've been doing multiple projects. So within the business space, I have quite a few activities. And the third one is also I'm a teacher, but I'm an academician. So I actually had a center in the University of Mumbai. Okay. Like we have Mumbai University itself, Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies, the very famous one. We have started something called as Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies.
Okay.
And my own institution, I'm a director. I had the whole, board of studies. It's like being a principal of a college or a school, you can say.
Yeah.
So I also visit a lot of other colleges, schools, talk about my books, talk about Chanakya. So coming back, if I have to introduce myself, I've said three things. One is author. Second is a businessman who runs quite a few companies. And the third one, of course, is a teacher. But everything about all that we combine together is directly or indirectly related to Chanakya. What I'm using Chanakya's knowledge in writing books. I apply Chanakya's knowledge in my own business and a lot of other businesses. I help a lot of startups also using Chanakya Niti.
Okay.
And finally, I'm teaching Chanakya. That's why I become a Chanakya teacher also. So that is the three different roles that is I have, and one common thing, that is Chanakya. Thank you.
Wonderful. And why did you what did you got your attention into Chanakya? So why Chanakya?
Yeah, in fact, this is a very common question. A lot of people ask me, why Chanakya and how Chanakya? How did this happen to you? So let me tell you, there are two things how Chanakya happened to me. So there are, many reasons that I became Chanakya, or rather I would started studying Chanakya, but two major things. Number one, I have been connected to a spiritual organization called as Chinmaya Mission since my childhood. I don't know if you heard about Chinmaya Mission. It's a very famous spiritual organization, and they have children classes also, what we call value education. It's called Bal Vihar classes, and they have a youth wing, and it is called as Chinmaya Yuva Kendra. Since you are from Bangalore, there is a CMH road also near Indiranagar, Mission Hospital. You must have visited the temple there. If not, you should definitely go there. So since I've been connected with Chinmaya Mission, I've been reading a lot of Indian scriptures, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita. And Chanakya came in my life because of the book that he wrote called as Kautilya's Arthashastra. And I learned it in Chinmaya Mission only. So the first reason I came into Chanakya was because of Chinmaya Mission, the reading habit of ancient Indian wisdom. The second thing is that when I started my own business almost 20 years ago, since I'm an Indian and a very proud Indian, of course, and also I'm running an Indian company, I thought, why not run my own company in the Indian management way? Because every company should have a management philosophy and management techniques. So I wanted to, first of all, study Chanakya and apply in my own business. So these are the two reasons how I came into Chanakya. I studied, I did my PhD, I did a lot of other research on that. But interestingly, why this is how Chanakya happened. The second is why Chanakya. To be very frank, initially when I thought about it, I never thought this will become so big. So it just became big, big, big. I've been now in this field for almost 20 years, teaching Chanakya. I've traveled 22 countries across the globe, and that also multiple times. I keep going to US. I teach in quite a few universities over there. I have traveled to so many countries and spoken to big politicians. I've spoken to teachers, philosophers, professors. So the whole idea is that when I started, I was not even sure. As we say in Hindi, "Pata nahi aage kya hoga." It was just I was enjoying the moment. I was enjoying my study, but suddenly it became so big. People call me India's #1 business author. And Ranveer has been so kind. And I know you've been listening to the videos. He calls me the smartest man in India and the Chanakya of the modern generation. To be very frank, I don't feel that is true. You can't be Chanakya because Chanakya was very great.
Yeah.
But yes, if at all I have a little bit of a smartness, it is because of the Chanakya wisdom. So the second question is that why Chanakya? It just happened. The reality is that, everything that I'm doing is connected to Chanakya. And I believe that, the Chanakya in any form, maybe not physically is not around. He left his body so many centuries ago.
Yeah.
But probably maybe his blessing. So why not Chanakya? If it has given me so much success, name, fame, glory, money, and so much credibility, why not Chanakya? So I think that's my answer. How Chanakya happened and why Chanakya is important in my life specifically.
Okay, wonderful. And why do people call you Chanakya Reborn? What's why that? Like, why do you? Does it makes you feel good about yourself, or there are some kind of thought which when people see your Chanakya Reborn, what kind of thoughts does it come to your mind?
Yeah. So initially, I used to feel very guilty about it. I remember there were some friends who actually came down from New Zealand. Okay, and I'm almost talking about 15 years ago. Okay, and they told me that they came down all the way from New Zealand, and initially I came, or rather my work was known to the people across the globe because of the email or internet era. That time there was no social media; it was just email. Yeah. Somebody had read, and there was a website. The website was a big thing when we were young. So somebody had read my article and they came down from New Zealand and they said, you're doing wonderful work. You're writing about Chanakya. We saw your article, your research paper. And they said, we want to tell you that your next journey, you should get into social media. I said, what is social media? Have you heard about Facebook? So I said, yeah, I've heard about Orkut and Facebook, but I don't know what it is. Then they said, we will create an account for you. I said, okay, so fine. So they were already in the IT industry. And it's a husband and wife couple. They said, we'll create an account. So one day what they did, they actually created the first account and it was called Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai.
Okay.
So I said, okay. And I said, listen, my surname is not Chanakya. My name is Radhakrishnan Pillai. Please don't add Chanakya in that. But they said, no. It is very important for branding. Okay. So if you put the name Chanakya, so whenever somebody actually looks at it, they feel like, wow, nice, recollection. Sachin Tendulkar becomes a cricketer. So it's a good branding. So you should be connected with the word of Chanakya.
Yeah.
Believe me, I did not like that in the beginning stages. And there's a friend of mine, his name is Multipurpose, and he supported me a lot in my research. Because research also requires a lot of funding. He sponsored my research. So Mulraj once actually called a PR guy, and he said, now you should wear suit boot and now you should look smart because now you're representing the Indian wisdom. So you should look smart. So we did a photo shoot and there was a complete branding strategy. So the branding expert told that, if you make a visiting card, it should be known as Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai. If you make a website, it should be about Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai. I said, where did you get this funny idea? So I saw it in your Facebook. So I think that's a good idea. Oh my goodness, Facebook has made Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai and you are going to continue. And as I told you, I resisted it a lot. I'm saying that no, I don't want to be called as Chanakya. I don't want to be called as Chanakya. But unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever way, it became so viral that it got connected with Chanakya. I saw two benefits in that. Number one, my work became bigger because everybody says, Chanakya means Radhakrishnan Pillai. And then he will tell. I'm not saying I'm equal to Chanakya, but definitely, yes, I'm working with the knowledge of Chanakya. The second benefit I got is that, basically I became very responsible. Please understand this: when you're a doctor and when you get a degree, you also take an oath, isn't it? That I will take care of my patients, and it's a moral responsibility. If I'm representing Chanakya, definitely, I have to be like Chanakya, and maybe uska naam kharab nahi karna chahiye as they say. I should not spoil his name.
True.
So over a period of time, it became bigger and bigger and bigger, and later on, even your friends like Ranveer and everyone says that this is the modern day Chanakya and all that thing.
Yeah.
But I tell you, my teacher, who actually taught me the Arthashastra, there are many teachers, of course, Dr. Gangadhar Nair, Dr. Shubhada Joshi, under whom I did my PhD. Yeah. But Swami Advayananji, a great Sanskrit scholar from Chinmaya Mission, when he came to know all these things, he said, listen, okay, so it's very, very clear. You should not call yourself Chanakya. I said, yes, I never call myself Chanakya, but look at the whole world. They are branding me as Chanakya. What to do? And he said something very nice. He said, remember one thing, there can be only one Chanakya. Okay? And there can be only one Radhakrishnan Pillai.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. So remember one thing, you will never be a duplicate. You should always be an original person. Okay?
Wonderful. Yeah.
So yes, remember one thing, the Chanakya name you should not use. But unfortunately, it has become out of control so much that many times I used to resist and saying that I'm not Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai, I'm Radhakrishnan Pillai. I'm not Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai. But I think time has come, you can't stop it. Unfortunately, you can't stop it. But then I realized one thing, okay, then let me look at it positively, at least be original Radhakrishnan Pillai.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'm more known as my Twitter handles, if you look at it, it's like Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai because of my PhD. So I would say that, the name has become synonymous with Chanakya, no doubt about it. But I would say that, that great person will be absolutely greater than me. I'm a humble student of Chanakya. But since there is a connection, people do look at this. But I believe that it's only God's grace that I'm able to work on the Chanakya field. So that's the story about Radhakrishnan Chanakya Pillai.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And where did you find yourself? You have written 15 books or 17 books on the topic of Chanakya, right? So where did you find yourself? Like, first, how did you get to know about Chanakya? And second, how did you get into writing?
So first things is that I have been writing as a child.
Okay.
My book became a very different way of writing because a book is a very different commitment by itself. So I'm not talking about the writing books, I'm talking basic writing. I think everybody knows to read and write because that is what they teach in schools. Yeah. So reading, writing and computing is what they teach us, So I think everybody writes, but I've been very fortunate that in my family, we are a family where a lot of writers are there. My father is a writer. Okay, that's very interesting. A lot of my uncles, we've come from the roots of Kerala, and as you know, Kerala is a very highly educated, literate. Yeah. So reading and writing has been a culture within our community, in our family, in our state, whatever. So it's a very highly respected family that we are from. And my father still writes, so he's been writing since so many years. So probably, I had this little habit of writing. So initially, my father used to tell me, every day you should write a diary. My mother used to say, every time make a note. So that habit was there. And I remember when I was in 4th standard, I actually wrote a small article and it got published in a newspaper.
Okay.
And I also got rupees for that. Mm-hmm. So the writing in me was more because of my parents' grace. It is what we call, maybe genetical or the blessings of the parents. So writing was never a problem. But over a period of time, it so happened that, I started writing, probably small articles for my college magazine, the newsletters, and Chinmaya Mission also, as I told you, that youth thing. So we used to bring out some small magazines just to keep writing. Then later on, that habit evolved so much that I used to write for some newspapers. And I started writing articles for Times of India Group. And then finally, I wrote this book called as, Corporate Chanakya, my first book. This is a 10-year-old book. Almost all the books put together sold out millions of copies. So Corporate Chanakya happened because of my publishers. Jaco Books. So they once heard me speaking. So by the grace of God, I can speak very well. So I can be very impressive. You must have seen all my videos.
Yeah.
So bug बहुत अच्छा लेता हूँ. So I'm a good talkative.
No. You just speak wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So they just heard me speaking on Chanakya once and said, you speak very well on Chanakya. So can you actually write a book on Chanakya? said, who are you? And Jayco. Okay, I have read Jayco books because I'm a collector of books. I have a lot of books, so I like. So I said, Jayco books, yeah, we want you to write a book for us. I said, why not? So when the publishers approached me, I started writing, and then the book came out, Corporate Chanakya.
Yeah.
And since then, there is no stopping. 17 books done, and this lockout around 2 new books.
Okay.
So the good news is, writing is continuing. So both of them, writing happened to me.
Yeah.
Book writing also happened to me. Again, it is all completely my God's grace and my parents' grace. It is the blessings of all of them, and of course my publishers and the whole publishing industry and the book industry, and of course the readers who want me to keep writing. So thanks to all of you.
Yeah. Wonderful. And when you started writing, what was your main, like what kind of things you require while writing?
Yeah. So there are 3 things I would suggest that everybody should know about writing. Okay. The first thing is that basically you should read a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So good writers are actually good readers. So if you want to please read a lot. In fact, it is saying that even if you want to be a musician, okay, don't start playing the music. Listen to music first.
Yeah.
It will be very much observer. So the good part is that in my case also, I've been a reader. Even now I read, so much. I have a personal collection of 7,000 books. Yeah. So even though I've written 17 books, but the number of books I've read is more. And many people ask me, 7,000 books, have you actually read it? I was like, yeah, of course I read it. That is my passion. That is my hobby. And that is my first love, books. So if you want to be a writer, the first thing is read a lot. Okay. The second thing is that, you should actually, if possible, attend some workshops on writing and all that. Because, when you write, typically in India, what we find is that we are trained to write exams. So even if you are going to school, they'll make you write for some exams. So that's how our training is. But we don't know how to write properly, how to write an article, how to write a research paper. So especially the only one who are trained in writing are the journalism people, the journalists or the media people. So that's a profession, right?
Yeah.
And I would say that, it doesn't matter whether you're a professional writer or no, you should definitely know systematic writing. Unfortunately, our education system is only an examination system. So you write for exams, but there is a different way of writing. So after reading a lot of books, if you can actually attend some workshops, I know there are so many online, but I also conduct a workshop on how to write a book. So not only mine, you can attend any one, and there are, I'm sure, a lot of things available today on the internet also. So first of all, read a lot. Second, attend some writing workshops. And the third important thing is that think big, start small, which means if you want to write a book, don't start by writing a book. Start with writing small articles. Okay, and today you can do blogging also.
Yeah.
So a lot of people can do small poems. So if you want to write a book straight away, it's like, somebody who is playing gully cricket, he wants to play the World Cup finals. It can't happen, So there is nothing wrong in aiming to be part of the World Cup finals, no doubt. But think big, but start small. So you have to start playing the game. So how do you do that? I would suggest that, start writing maybe small articles, maybe start making diary notes. Every day you can write a little bit for yourself, notes to myself. Then maybe your school magazine, your college magazine, maybe you can get into. So many avenues are there, It can be 400, 500 words. It can be a joke, I told you I wrote a small joke, and that's how my writing. So it is very important that all the ideas are fine, but the end of it, you have to start writing someday. So 3 steps: read a lot, get trained in writing, some workshops or something like that. But most important, start writing. And once you write, it will keep improving over a period of a time, and you'll become the best writer very soon. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that advice. As people know you as the top business author, so what are your advices regard to that? Like how can somebody write on the topic of business? Because business is huge. There are multiple avenues, multiple topics, multiple perspectives about business. So how can somebody write about business in some pages?
Yeah. So as I told you, the formula is the same. If you want to write on anything, you should read about that particular subject.
Okay.
So what I'm saying, suppose you write business, so there are so many business magazines, newspaper, there are so many, probably groups. So maybe there are WhatsApp groups. I'm involved in so many business WhatsApp groups also. So once you start reading, let's say an Economic Times or a Mint or a Standard, Business Standard, or any of those, or there are a lot of business magazines like Business Today and this. So when you read a lot, you get a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
So the first step is, whichever field it is, you should read a lot. The second thing is that you should also gather a lot of information. So maybe you should make a lot of notes. And today there are a lot of business leaders. Their biographies are there. The books you can read. Then also you can think about subscribing to some online newsletters.
Yeah.
So once you gather all the information, your processing starts. So read a lot, gather a lot of YouTube videos now available on business. But be very clear that you have to choose the highest quality. So, if you look at a book, there are 10,000 books, but you have to be very choosy. If I have to read 10 books, it has to be the best books.
Yeah.
So if you're not subscribed to the magazine, go and subscribe for the best magazine. So once you do that, then your knowledge increases. Then the second step is the same. Start writing small little articles. But if you're a first-time writer in business, then I would say that, there is something called as verify the article. What does it mean? Suppose I write an article which is on business and maybe it's 500 words. Okay, it doesn't matter. Just show it to somebody. Maybe show it to a businessman, show it to your teacher of business or somebody, maybe at least show it to your parents to begin with. And saying that here is my first article, what do you think? So like a teacher, they will guide you and saying that here is the area of improvement. And when I say area of improvement, I don't just mean grammatical improvements, okay? So comma and full stop. I'm not talking about the grammatical part of it. Of course, grammar has to be decent and good, no doubt about it. But what I'm saying, the content wise, okay? So if I'm writing a story which is already there, Steve Jobs. So if I were to read a lot about Steve Jobs and write saying that Steve Jobs did 1, 2, 3, 4, which is already available on the internet or in the books, then I'm not making contribution. So when I'm studying something, I should write something which others don't know.
No, yeah.
Or something which is only then you'll be able to get the attention. Okay. So the same Steve Jobs can be represented from a business angle in a different way. Like for example, if I can tell you this, that for example, do you know how Steve Jobs actually came into the computer field? And we will know this. And do you know who Steve Jobs' father was?
No.
He was an orphan actually. Do you know that he actually met his father? His father was actually selling computers.
Okay.
In a hardware. Yeah, so not many people know it. And Steve Jobs never, actually had the benefit of being brought up by his father because he was actually a person who was brought up by a different set of parents. But he found him. So then I realized, maybe it is already genetic. Think about this. His father, he found him one day, in his own life research, he finally found his father and he was actually selling hardware computers. Yeah. So maybe he got it genetically from his father. The second thing, how did he become a businessman? He was not just a businessman, he was an innovative businnesman. Yeah. Not many people know he was a part of a university. Okay, so if you look at the Silicon Valley, the university, Stanford and all, he used to go around attend lectures over there. So how did Steve Jobs actually get the idea? It's basically he was a good student of computers. So many times when we say student of computers, our miscalculation is that he should have done a computer engineering. It is not true. Okay. You can actually go and listen to some lectures and he was in that ecosystem where there are a lot of people who are actually discussing computers. Silicon Valley is the place where everybody discusses about computers and softwares and the next generation innovations. He was already born in that particular space. Okay. Other important thing is that Steve Jobs, you'll understand that he was kicked out from his own company. Yeah. So if you remember, Apple, he was kicked out. And what did he do? He actually attended a course about calligraphy. And with the calligraphy, he made some characters and he started a company which made movies, animation movies called Pixar. Yeah. And you'd be surprised, he founded Pixar. And then Apple bought over Pixar. And then again, Steve Jobs came back. Now think about it. Write an article like this. Will it be interesting?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
About Steve Jobs, Apple version 1, Apple version 2, 10X, iPod. But you want to tell something very different. Then only you will be an attention catcher. So if you want to be a good business writer, research on business, research on the life of businessmen, successful businessmen, even failed businessmen. It's not necessarily everybody will only talk about success. You can also write an article about why startups fail. Okay. Why do businessmen succeed is one part of it, but why do startups fail? So you can do a lot of research. So coming back to your question, what is very important is that keep writing. But before writing, keep reading, keep thinking, and bring original ideas into your writing. And that's how you become a great business writer. Thank you.
Okay. So coming to the business aspect of your life, as you said, you're an author and then businessman also. And you said you have met wonderful politicians, wonderful businessmen, a lot of different kind of people with different professions. So what did you learn from them? Because I'm sure you would have some small conversations. They would have taught you, or you would have learned something amazing from their things. So what did you learn from meeting these many people all over the world?
Yeah, so I have been very, very fortunate to meet some of the biggest guys in this particular country, right? From our Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, to our presidents. I've spent a lot of time with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Okay.
I've been fortunate to share diets with him. Pranav Mukherjee. So think about all these great guys. So I've been very, very fortunate to actually, now this is on the political side. On the academic side, I have traveled across the globe, met some of the biggest professors in Oxford and Cambridge and many countries like USA, London School of Economics. So you look at it, and this is now the academic side of it. Then, I work very closely with the Indian Armed Forces. So if you
Okay.
look at it, one of the biggest generals of Indian Army, Navy, Air Force, the admirals, the white admirals, generals, they're almost like friends of mine.
Okay.
And then if you look at the academic world, the vice chancellors of various universities, the education ministers, if you look at, professors from great universities in India and abroad. So I've been very, very, very fortunate. And the other important thing, which I believe is the most, defining moment of my life, is also the spiritual leaders that I have met. So
Okay.
I have met a lot of spiritual leaders. Of course, my own home spiritual organization is Chinmaya Mission. But if you look at Ramakrishna Mission, if you look at Sri Ravi Shankar ji and all those great stalwarts, Baba Ramdev. So I've been very fortunate that in every field, okay, be it politics, be it academics, be it business, I work with some of the top guys in this country also. The chairmen of multinational companies, the Tatas, the Birlas. I work with all of them. So coming back to your question, so it's a wide range of people that I meet. But every time when I meet them, I'm almost like a friend. And I said, okay, what can I learn from them? Sometimes it's a 2-minute conversation. And sometimes it's a 2-year kind of a relationship also.
Yeah.
So when you actually people, so it is not about the time. It is how much you learn from them. And if you're quick, you can learn in 2 minutes also. And if you're dumb, you can't even learn it in 2 years. So what is very important to understand that you should be a learner from whomever you meet. And let me also tell you, you should not be just a learner of the big people. Sometimes you feel, oh, I met somebody like, Tata group of chairman. Okay, but why can't you even learn from a common man, maybe a farmer, maybe a school teacher?
Yeah.
They can also teach you something.
Yeah.
So I always say this, you can actually learn something from even the beggar on the road. Okay, because the beggar on the road is also part of the same society. And you should also look at him, observe him. He also knows some certain skills. He knows whom to beg and whom not to beg from. Because he exactly knows the psychology of human beings. I've seen some of the best lessons I've learned in my life was watching people on the roads. So I think what is important is not from whom you learn, but your attitude of learning from whomever you meet. It's very important. So yes, I've learned from the biggies, but I also learned from the smallest of the people. And that is what has made me a little bit of a knowledge person. So I have always learned from anybody and everybody. And that includes you also. Because you've been also a teacher for me. The way you have been doing inspiring. I would have never done it at my age.
Thank
So
you.
at your age, I would have never done it. So I'm also learning from you. That's why when you send me the mail, say, no, for me, this session is learning from you. If you can do it, probably everybody else can do it. Thank you. And that's what my principle in life is. Keep learning from everyone and keep learning forever.
Yeah. And what one thing you would like to mention here? Like, what was one thing common in every person you met? Like one thing which was common.
Yeah. So I think one thing common is successful people are very humble.
Okay.
And if you want to be successful, you have to maintain that humbleness or that humility. The moment ego comes into your life, even the biggest guys start falling.
Yeah.
This is that one thing I've learned in my life. See, I'll tell you, after you become successful, okay, then ego comes into you. Well, success can go into your head. Yeah. But the people who have maintained the humility, okay, they never fall. They only continue to grow. And I've seen some of the greatest guys. If you look at Ratan Tata, okay, if you ever meet him, oh, what a humble person. When you meet somebody like a Narayan Murthy, oh, amazing. They're so humble, so humble. So I think that one thing common in all successful people is humility. And this is not only my learning, it is actually a learning that has been studied by research. So, there are so many books available on leadership qualities, successful people. But one thing that comes out is humility. So if you're humble, the humility doesn't mean you're a stupid person, okay? Humility is strength. Mahatma Gandhi knew that. He was a humble person. He was also a very, very sharp and intelligent guy. He was a very interesting person. You have to study. The one thing common in everybody is humility, and no ego. If not 100% no ego, at least less ego. Develop humility, you will become successful in life.
Okay, great. And coming to your business part, like what kind of businesses do you have and what kind of businesses do you run at a personal level?
Yeah. So very nice question. So the first business that I started 20 years ago was a company called as Atma Darshan. Okay. So the Atma is a company that actually started in the space of spiritual tourism. So a lot of people come from different parts of the world. They want to see India, but we actually show them, Delhi, Jaipur, Agra. Nothing wrong in that. They're also part of our culture, no doubt about it. So, they come and see what is called the Golden Triangle. Now, that is only one part of India, but really India is a culture.
Yeah.
India is a civilization and India is spirituality. Actually, you should only understand India when you go and see the temples of India. You go into every house and eat the food of India. If you look at the colors of India, the music of India, the arts of India. So I realized one thing, that when foreigners come, they are not exposed to the cultural and the spiritual part of India. So this company of mine called as Atma Darshan actually takes people to see different temples, ashrams, yoga, Ayurveda. So this is what we call that real India, right? And these are all God's gift to us. Yeah. And in Kerala, we call God's own country. So this company that I started actually showcases India in the right way. Okay, and this company is doing extremely well. We have taken more than 30,000 people from across the globe to see the real India. So that's one part of it. The second business that I have, which actually developed very recently, maybe because of Chanakya, so I've been now doing a lot of training programs, consulting on the business space, and that company is called as Chanakya Anvikshiki Private Limited. Mm-hmm. What is Anvikshiki? It is how the leader should think. So we train them. So second business, I wouldn't even call it a business in that sense, because it's business is a very economic word if you want to look at it. But for me, that company is actually doing a lot of training programs, mentoring. So, but now it's a formal company. One of my students called Pranav Patel is the CEO. In fact, half of my company staff is my students only. And if they join as an employee, they become my students later on. So this company actually does a lot of training with big companies, India and multinational companies. So we actually mentor them about how to be a good businessman using Chanakya's techniques. And the third activity that I do is basically to even help startups to run their businesses. Because, I am doing my own business, but I need to now pass on the knowledge to people who want to be businessmen. So I'm doing a lot of mentoring, training for the young generation who want to be businessmen, but they don't know the way. So there are 3-4 different activities. And of course, the final thing is that I'm the board of so many companies. Okay. So, they invite me, advisor, I'm an independent director. So खुद का तो business कर ही रहा हूँ, लेकिन दूसरों का business में भी थोड़ा सा साथ दे रहा हूँ. So I'm doing my own business, also helping others.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Happy to know that. And what would be your advice to anybody who wants to start their own business? And how can somebody learn from your books, from your perspective, and from you?
Absolutely. So there are 2 questions. How should one start a business, and about my books. So let me start by how to start your own business. So please understand, business starts with an idea. It starts with a dream. Yeah. As Dr. Abdul Kalam said, dream big. Okay. So it's very important. You should be a dreamer. If you want to be a businessman, you should understand dreams are very, very important. But one thing, the dreams or the ideas are not business. They're the starting point of business. You need to convert your dream into an idea. Mm-hmm. And from that idea, you have to make it a business plan. Okay, so many people say, Oyo has done it and Ola has done it, and I can also do it. No, it doesn't happen like that. So if somebody has done it, you also can do it, but there is a process to it. Okay. So after dreaming, you should understand the process of how businesses are run. And for that, my suggestion is that, you basically start working in some company of your field. For example, if you want to be a designer of cars, so become an apprentice with somebody who's already, a big designer in cars. So if you want to start your business in some field, already people working. So go there, work, understand the systems and processes, understand how they're doing. And then afterwards, start your own business. Okay. So first thing is basically you have an idea, great. Refine the idea, make it better, read a lot about it, but work somewhere, at least for 2-3 years if you work. Then only you will make your idea into a concrete business idea and a business plan. And after that, when you start your business, please don't shut down the business for at least 3 years. Okay. A lot of people start business and they stop, because you need to understand 3 cycles of business, as they say. So there's a formula in the Gujarati and the Marwadi business community. They're saying that any business to take off requires 1,000 days. So 365 days, So if you multiply it by 3 years, it's average 1,000 days.
Yeah.
So if you know how to stick to an idea, a lot of people start an idea, then they leave it, then go to another idea, then they leave it. So first thing is dream big, work under somebody, and then whatever idea you have, stick to it. This is the same story that has happened with Flipkart or many other companies. So do you know that Flipkart founders actually worked in Amazon? Yes, they worked in Amazon. They studied the whole model. And then Amazon was initially selling books. They also started selling books. Flipkart was delivering books.
Okay.
So don't think only big. Please start thinking big, dreaming big, but work, study, and then apply and commit yourself for 3 years. Then you'll be a successful startup. Coming back to the second part of the question is about books. I've written 15 books and 2 audiobooks, only put 17. And in the lockdown period, I have also written another 3 books. So books I got involved in the movies. So we are making a movie on Chanakya with Neeraj Pandey and Ajay Devgan is acting. So many things. So my first suggestion is that, take a list of all my books. If you want, I can forward that to you so you can pass it on to all my friends. Post it on the But take one book at a time and start reading. Because that's very, very important. I would suggest study all the books and then, take one book at a time, finish the book, go to the next book, third book. And this formula, you can do it with all the authors. So suppose you like Radhakrishnan Pillai, read all books of Radhakrishnan. Then you take the next author. So maybe if you like Sudha Murthy, okay? Or maybe Steve Jobs, if you're into the field of business, study them. Understand how they are actually, writing books. So over a period of time, book reading from a particular idea should become a hobby and a habit. Okay. So once it's a hobby and a habit, then nobody can stop you. Like it has happened with me. I can see how many books I'm having right now with me. In my own table right now where I'm sitting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got around 20 books. See this?
Okay.
I would say, please fall in love with books because it's a great love. They will never ditch you. Okay, because in other relationship, you can always have the breakup point. Yeah. But in this case, if you fall in love with books, books are always with you. And the best part is that they don't argue with you.
Yeah.
They don't. So whatever you feel, you can do anything with the book. You can take a pen and a pencil and write, scrap it, put it somewhere. It will never complain. So I think for me, my first love, if I were to call it, is my books. They always been with me. And they actually are more intelligent than me. And because of the books, you also become intelligent. So fall in love with books, develop the habit of reading books. And yes, I will send you all the list of my books.
Sure. Wonderful. That would be my pleasure. And so this question I wanted to ask from the start of the session. So you said you're a director and you own your own company. So what it is about, the learning institute, you said, like what is the idea and the motto and why did you start that?
So what happened is that it was an evolution. What is the evolution means? It's an organic growth. So as I told you, initially I started my own company, Atmadarshan was doing it. And then to make my company better, I studied Chanakya. And when Chanakya happened, a lot of people started calling me, and saying, oh, you have heard, you have studied Chanakya. We have seen you speaking on Chanakya. So why don't you come to my company and do some training program? So like, wow. So I never knew that, Chanakya can be applied in my company, but Chanakya can be applied in other companies also.
Yeah.
So I started traveling a lot. And in fact, I used to get calls from different parts of the world. I traveled to Singapore. I actually trained the government of Singapore. So you think how it was becoming bigger. So still then, it was still an individual Radhakrishnan Pillai doing it.
Okay.
But as they say, the snowball effect, it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then, the demand became so big that, in a year, sometimes I used to do 100 lectures.
Okay.
So every third day I was doing a lecture. It was becoming so bigger and bigger and bigger. Then finally I had to take an assistant. Okay. And again, it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And today I do at least 3 webinars per day.
Okay.
So initially every 3 days I used to do 1 lecture. Today I do 3 webinars per day. So think about it. It's almost like 80 to 90 to 100 webinars per month is what I do right now in the lockdown period only. Uh-huh. So coming back, when it started growing, by the grace of God, a lot of money started coming in. So that is also very important. Initially it was free model. I also do free models. So that is not the criteria, but money started flowing in. I never knew that it can become a paid profession. Uh-huh. A lot of YouTubers not free for fame, probably, or for something else, maybe because of a purpose. But over a period of time, YouTube starts paying you, right? So a lot of people started paying me and said, wow, that's not bad. I never thought, you can get paid by speaking on chat.
Yeah.
But then it happened that, my chartered accountant then came and told me, my company secretary came and told me that now it is time you formulate a company. said, what do you mean by formulated company? You should start a business venture, because once you reach a level, then people don't want to work with individuals. They want to work with an organization. So, let's say, for example, I started getting bigger deals with companies like Indian Oil Corporation, with HPCL, BPCL. And they used to tell, "Aapka GST number bhej do." GST number, I'm a Radhakrishnan Pillai. No. Then there is something called as vendor creation. This all happens. So you have to go through the compliance. So you have to be an official vendor. So much, see, you're growing. So that's good. That's a good sign. A lot of people who are individually good speakers may not become a company, but your demand is very high. I said, okay, that's how the company came in. Chanakya Anvikshiki Private Limited. Today we have 10 people working full time. As I told you, most of them are my students. And if not, they come and then become my students. So this whole idea about the company was that organic growth. It was an evolution from a normal idea. Now it has become a full-fledged company. And we do a lot of training programs. And the good news is that it is not only me as an individual, only one person, but there are many people. Okay, so there are 10, 15 people who do training programs. So that's my journey into Chanakya Anvikshiki Private Limited. You can also go and check our website. We are also very active on social media. We have a Twitter account, an Instagram, LinkedIn, all that you can check out.
Okay.
Thank you.
This question is now I don't know how would you respond to this, but I just wanted to know your thoughts on this. That you are a businessman, you're an academician, you are an author. What kind of stress does it take to your mental health, and how does spirituality helps you to how does spiritual part of your life, how does Chanakya learnings of Chanakya help you to fight with this mental health problems which comes in your way?
So number one, I'm physically and mentally fit. So don't worry about it. I have no mental health problems.
Okay.
So in helping other people to come out of mental health problems.
Yeah.
So if I'm a doctor, first of all, I should not be a patient. So coming back, so I'm very clear that, I have learned Chanakya, and Chanakya was a Rajguru. Okay, so he was teaching leadership to leaders. Okay. And leaders have to do multitasking. So you don't have a choice. As you grow higher and higher, you can't say, I will only do one thing. That is an employee. So he will say, मैं एक ही काम करूँगा, इतना ही पगार मिलता है. No. You should actually do multiple tasks. Leaders have to create work. They have to create jobs. Okay. So when you're doing multitasking, it so happens that over a period of a time, you can do it because you get a hang of it. You should have a team which does it and things like that. Now coming back to the stress level, I think initially when you're doing it for the first time, that little bit of a, I would say the startup or teething problem would be there. Okay. But if you actually consistently do everything, then that stress level goes away. Let me give an example. So suppose you're hitting the gym for the first day. Okay. So you start doing exercising and things like that. The muscles will pain. I think all of us have gone through it, right? Yeah. So suddenly a body which is not used to it, suddenly will get into that pain. So it is normal. Okay. So if that is the kind of a stress you're talking about, I say that every time I take up a project, like today morning only I got a call. It was from the government of India and saying that you have to do this project. I said, oh my goodness. So for that moment, that mind that, this is new for me, right? So like hitting the gym could be new for the body. So I work on more than 300 projects. So every time a new project comes in, oh my goodness. Okay. And I said, okay, wait. So if you're done, 299 projects already successful. So this is nothing new for you.
Yeah.
Then I said, okay, do some planning. So stress happens when things are unknown. Okay. But I say, over a period of a time, every expert starts as a beginner. Every expert starts slowly you will learn it. Now the second stress that people happen is because of relationship problems. So one is work related stress. So I say, you can learn the skills. It is very interesting. In fact, for all the people, I have a recommendation of a book. Okay. In fact, I would say that this is my 2 books of my favorite books that has helped me to be very, very stress free in work. These are my 2 favorite books. One is called Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay. See, I learned Chanakya, but that doesn't mean I'm against foreign authors. This is one book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the second is Getting Things Done by David Allen.
Okay.
So I would suggest that all of you read this book. You will be stress-free. You can manage a lot of books. These 2 books have helped me. A lot of other books also. These are 2 of my primary books. I read this book every year. This book, Stephen Covey's Habit, I've been reading it for the last 15 years. And every year I read it once again. Okay. So the first thing you said is about stress related to work. So you can manage, you have to have system, processes, and a team in place. Now coming back to the second question, the second stress that happens is because of relationships. So, you have a friend, you have parents. Once that kind of a stress happens, and that is what people don't know how to manage.
Yeah.
So I think work-related stress is one part of it, but I think the higher one that happens is relation-based stress. Maybe boyfriend, girlfriend, or with your parents, or with the teachers, your bosses. So I have this very simple formula that number one, in my own personal life, I have never, ever, ever had any enemies. Yeah. And so, mentally free. I don't believe in competition. I believe in collaboration.
Okay.
Okay, that's very. So when you want to compete with somebody and say, I'm better than you, naturally the stress will happen. And people use wrong techniques. So, it's like, to make myself bigger, I will cut you down.
Okay.
So, both are, how do I become bigger? So make him small. So I become bigger. No. So a lot of people have a stress because they don't know how to manage the other person. Okay. And then we have this whole formula saying that if you don't listen to me, I become very stressed. I will my parents don't listen to me. My children don't listen to me. My boss doesn't listen to me. So I have always come out of that particular mindset. I said, doesn't matter. How can you change other person here? The joke goes in a marriage, the happiness comes in when you start realizing that you can't change the other person.
Yeah.
So, we are already married. So somebody asked me, are you happily married? I said, of course, I'm married and I know the secret of happiness.
Yeah.
It's never marriage that makes you happy. It is actually, you have to be first happy and then actually get married.
Yeah.
So coming back, with every relationship and in any professional or person, you should know how to manage relationships. Okay. Never keep jealousy, anger, competition. Then it adds to you. It actually builds onto your blood pressure and temperature. I say, I'm very happy here. I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. And most important, very, very important, please learn to laugh. Be actually humorous. Don't be, very, very stressed out. Life is not to be, stressed about. Life is like a game. You should enjoy playing it. Sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. It's fine. But hasne ko sikho. So I actually read a lot of comedy books. Okay. I watch a lot of comedy movies, humor, wit. So, if you are wanting to actually be stress-free, the best medicine is actually humor. Be light from inside. Believe me. It is a life can be a joke if you actually consider it. If you think life is a problem, actually life becomes a problem. But if you think life is a joke, you will enjoy the journey. And that is my formula. I've enjoyed my life. And let me tell you, I have no complaints in life. No complaints. Zero complaints. I have never blamed anybody for anything that has happened good or bad in my life. I always believe it is all God's grace, my parents and teachers' blessings. That's it. So if you have that attitude, believe me, no stress can come into your life. And that is where your answer came in. It is spirituality, the final place where you can actually become stress-free. If you have devotion in God and your parents, believe me, nothing can be stressed because your family is with you, your teachers are with you, the God's blessing with you. Then, ऐसे कहते हैं ना, जो हुकुम राजी, तो सब राजी. So God is, how can you get stressed? So my final formula for this answer is, don't tell God how big the problem is. Don't tell God, because we go to God and pray, exam, my problem, this problem, that problem. Don't tell God how big the problem is. Tell the problem how big God is.
God is. Okay.
So no problem in this world is permanent. And if you have faith in God, believe me, everything will go away. So that's my formula of being a stress-free and productive life. Thank you.
Okay. And the last question for this session I have, doing so many businesses, writing so many books, starting, being an academician. So what kind of failures did you come in your journey and what did you learn from them? Like what kind of failures did you have?
So I would say that, I never focus on the word failure. I don't know. People generally enjoy this whole tell me about the failures of your life.
Okay.
I think that, I'm fine. I had never thought about it. But yes, I like the second part of your question. What were your learnings in life? Please understand this. Failure is only success delayed.
Okay.
So I have always been successful. So that's the whole thing. So, for example, I had a dream that this book should sell, 1 lakh copies. So in the first year, we could only sell 15,000 copies. Okay. But do you call it a failure? Saying that because I had a target of 1 lakh and today I've only sold in the first year 15,000. Not a failure, but you keep working and today it is not 1 lakh, it has sold 10 lakh copies.
Okay.
So I always believe failure is only success delayed. So have patience, keep working. Today or tomorrow you will get success. So I always believe that, when things doesn't come your way, don't call it a failure. Call it, I need to be patient.
Okay.
Please understand this. What you think as failure, it is God's way of telling you your time has not come. And then there's a beautiful song, Apna Time Aayega.
Yeah.
I failed. Nobody fails in life. Let me tell you, my dear friends. So if you are determined, you will definitely succeed. So if somebody failed in a class, so what? Study hard, you'll become successful. I was an average student. Okay, I was a very, very average student. But after my school days, when I got determined to study, after my PhD, actually I'm a gold medalist.
Okay.
So I never became, so it's only a matter of time. So remember one thing, whenever there are challenges, ask yourself that it is not failure. Tell yourself, this is actually learning. So what did I learn? So many learnings in life. I can write a whole book again on my learnings in life. But the first thing I realized is that you never compete with somebody else. You always compete with yourself. Okay, this is my first lesson in life. When the moment you do comparison and competition with others, you'll always be unhappy. For example, he got a job worth 10 lakh rupees, and I got only a job worth 9,50,000 rupees. The moment you start comparing, then you'll always forget about it, because the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
The grass is. They always said, what about me? I was getting 5 lakh rupees salary. Now I'm getting 6 lakh rupees. So I'm saying, wow, I got 1 lakh. But if I compare with the 10 lakh guys, I say, I'm getting 6 lakh and he's getting 10 lakh, 4 lakh rupees gap. So, never. So my learning in life is that don't get into, comparison and competition with others. Compete with yourself. So if I'm doing better, I will go. The second lesson in life is, be friendly, but choose your friends carefully.
Okay.
I'll repeat it. Be friendly with everyone, but choose your friends carefully. What is the difference between the two? See, as I told you, I don't have a single enemy in my life. Okay, never had and never will have. I'm very friendly with everyone. So everybody comes. Chalo, let's anybody who comes and says, I want to talk to you. I want to take an interview of yours. Yes. So I'm a friendly person, very approachable. I like that principle. At the same time, I have a selected group of friends. So unfortunately, everybody cannot have 50,000 friends, right?
Yeah.
But they say you have that 5 friends. So you have to choose your friends. So I've always been very clear. My friend circle is highly spiritual. So I have spiritual friends. I have intelligent friends, people who are also successful in their own field. So I spend a lot of time with my friends. And they're also my advisors. So there's a saying, friend in need is a friend indeed.
Yeah.
So the second learning in my life has been that, be friendly to everyone, but choose your friends carefully, because friends can make you or break you. This is the very, very important thing. And the third and the last important thing in my life is that if you have spiritual strength or spiritual stamina, in life, spiritual stamina, you will never, ever, ever see a problem as a problem. You will see every problem as an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my learning. Sometimes, when you do some experiments, ye nahi hoga. Like I'll give you an example. As a businessman, sometimes a deal doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we say, we're supposed to get this much, but it doesn't happen. And my team generally says, sir, nahi hua. Because सीखने को तो मिला कि क्यों नहीं हुआ, अगली बार इससे अच्छा कर लेंगे. So sometimes we lose a deal worth 10 lakh rupees, but we say, what did we learn? And maybe next time we make it 30 lakhs out of the next deal. So I always say that if you fail, ask yourself, why it did not work out? What is the learning? And improve it. Mm-hmm. So yes, it has always happened with me that what did not work out, actually God gave you better. Mm-hmm. And the longer it took, He only gave you the best. So these are my learnings. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much for being here. It was a wonderful session. Really, I mean it. A lot of things to learn, a lot of things to, different things to hear about. You thought a lot of things. Thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you very much.
You are an amazing interviewer. And Lakshit, I wish you and your team a great future ahead. You've been amazing. I'm very impressed by you. So kindly accept my congratulations for the wonderful work you're doing, and keep doing it. And
Thank you very much. My pleasure. Sure.
Please request everybody to follow me on my social media, my Twitter, my Instagram.
Yeah.
Please put a hashtag. And if anybody wants anything, please get in touch with me. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.